everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Angel, and I also have Mike McDowell on the line, and we're going to be talking to you today about McCormick and the products we have to offer. First off, I'll start the demonstration by talking about McCormick for payables and the features that you get with that product. Then I'll turn it over to Mike, and he will discuss the new premium McCormick features called MultiBatch Management. And last but not least, we do want to mention that we are the exclusive distributor for the Winthrop Development Consulting products and have the GP Power Tools, Batch Posting Services Toolkit, and Virtual Studios Integration Toolkit available for purchase. We won't be demonstrating anything on those today, but we're more than happy to talk to you about those products. Alright, so first off, McCormick allows you to print checks on blank check stock and have automatic signatures. So our configurator is designed so that you can configure each one of your checkbooks for printing and have additional information for your check stubs and also have those automatic signatures. So whether you have one checkbook or many checkbooks, either in one company or across companies, you set up each one in your Dynamics GP system, and we'll print all of the information for you. This eliminates the need to switch out your check stock, to lock up that check stock for security purposes, and then also, again, having those automatic signatures allows it to be a very seamless and quick process. So Mekorma also adds additional security for your checks and EFT payments. We have an approval process where you can set it up so that passwords have to be set in before you can print your checks. You can have the signature logic, so the signatures are already printed on your checks. You can assign your approvers and the people that are requesting approval for your payment batches. And there's certain restrictions you can apply to those approvals. And then we offer audit logs. So once your payments are posted, you can see who printed them and who approved them. In addition to that, we have the secure approval workflow with the split batch feature that allows you to have a workflow with email notifications, and you can see detailed information about what's in that payment batch and approve it right within Dynamics GP. So this is our security screen and the user-based security, which is the most popular and it gives you the most flexibility. So you can see, you can set how many approvers or passwords you want to have on each one of your payments, and also how many signatures you want to have. You can set a threshold, so you can split things, like having more than one approver if it's over a certain amount, or not having the system automatically sign your checks if it's over a certain amount and you still want to hand sign. The secure approval workflow, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a minute, and split batch when you are using different levels of approval for your checks. Down here you set up everyone that's involved in the process, and you can assign a specific signature file to an individual who's approving. You can set an authorized amount that they can approve for, and then also which checkbook they have the authority to approve out of. All of this information is available for EFT security as well. So this is one example of our secure approval workflow process with the split batch feature turned on. So in this scenario, we're saying we want one approver if our checks are under $5,000 and two approvers if they're over. We have the same logic for our signatures, although it doesn't have to match. We've said we want the one signature if it's under the $5,000 and two if it's over. In my system, I have Karen and Megan set up as the people that can approve payments, and Ryan is the person creating those payment batches and requesting approval. So because I have a threshold for my approval amounts, the system can also split one batch into two automatically based on that approval level. So here we're saying Ryan goes in and creates a payment batch, and he can do that from several different screens. The one we like to use is the select checks window. So he creates that payment batch, and when he requests approval, it will split. The checks under $5,000 will go in one batch. Karen and Megan will be notified. When Karen goes into GP and reviews the batch, Megan is notified once the approval happens that she doesn't need to do anything. While Karen is in there looking at the payments, she can remove any payments from that batch so that they do not get processed. And when she approves the batch, Ryan will get an email letting him know he can print. And once he does, it'll come out with the signature logic that we've set. The second batch is the same, except that the batch will continue to stay locked even after the first person has approved it. So Karen goes in, she makes her approval, maybe rejects any payments she wants to remove. Then Megan has to go in and do the same thing before the batch is released. Ryan gets an email, and he can print those payments, and they come out with the two different signatures. So that's our secure approval workflow feature that you can turn on from Mekorma Micker. In addition to that, we also offer you check image archiving. So you can have a posted copy of all your checks available to you within Dynamics GP. So you go to something like the vendor inquiry window, pull up a posted payment, and you'll see an image very similar to this. This has all the information on your original check except for the check number and the Micker line for security reasons, and of course it does have that voided information. So this information is being stored in the SQL Server and can be pulled up at any time. You'll also receive an additional window that gives you the audit information, so you'll be able to see who approved the check and when it was approved. We also have the option to have this same copy of your posted payments turned into a PDF and saved outside of your Dynamics GP system in a folder of your choice. That can automatically be set up so that those copies also happen. This is just a quick and easy way for you to be able to access this information without having to go to a file or something that you may have copied the check so that you can reference it at any time. All right, last but not least is a little known feature called Assign by Checkbook ID. We do have customers out there that maybe have a lot of different checkbooks in one company, and it's important to them to ensure that a specific vendor or a specific type of voucher that they're entering in is paid out of the right checkbook. And we all know when you're in the process of creating a payment batch that sometimes you can accidentally add a payment that shouldn't be in there possibly. And with check image archiving, with Assign by Checkbook, you can make sure with our added feature that only payments that are assigned to the same checkbook ID will get into that payment batch. It's just extra security. All right, so those are the features of Mekorma Micker that come standard with the product. But now I'm going to turn it over to Mike McDowell, and he's going to explain to you about a new feature we're getting ready to come out with called Mekorma MultiBatch Management.
Thanks, Angel. We're so excited to present this product now. As Angel told you a little bit about the Micker product, it is important that they have the Micker product installed, and if they do, they will receive this new premium feature along with their most recent upgrade. If they choose to use it, there will be a small fee attached to that, but if they don't, there's no charge. We decided to try to give back to the customers that have Mekorma Micker and let them have a product that they might have access to, they use, and they only pay for what they use. This will not have a general cost to it out front. It'll just be only if they use the product. So let's talk a little bit about the product right now. We received a lot of questions over the past about trying to create some kind of automation within AP. We all know that it's very time consuming on our staff to go in and out of companies, to go in and out of checkbooks, to create batches. It takes a lot of time. It's not complicated, but it just takes a lot of time. So we were trying to come up with something that would allow them to set up their batches, have them run automatically, where they can go to one screen and do everything across companies, across checkbooks. And we've done it. So one of the first things that I would ask you to think to yourself is, how many company databases do you currently have? You just have one, and you've got a lot of checkbooks, maybe more than 5, or how many checkbooks do you have that you create checks or EFTs for? So maybe you've got one company, many checkbooks. Maybe you've got many companies and many checkbooks. Maybe you just have a checkbook in each company. Either way, this helps you. So I really think this is going to be something that will save you a lot of time, make you more accurate, and definitely lessen the stress on your employees, because they can go do the check process from building to processing to printing to edit reports, all off one screen. So how much time do you spend processing and posting your check batches? We all know it takes a lot of time. It's button click, wait around, button click, wait around, just like the screen says. It just takes forever sometimes when you're using multi-company and multiple checkbooks. Some of the problems with doing this, the old way we'll call it, is loss of productivity. You're sitting having to go in and out, waiting. You also have potential accuracy issues. You forget to put a check in a batch. That happens frequently. I know as a CFO that happened to me quite a bit. And just plain the employee frustration of having to sit there for minutes or hours on end, maybe all day. I've had AP people that spend all day just doing this process, and God forbid the system locks up or they lose power and have to rebuild the batches and redo everything that they've just finished. So this really helps cut down that frustration. So the processes we've automated with this new product, MultiBatch Management, is checking the EFT selection. You can do that at one screen, requesting approval, printing, EFT remittance processing, posting, generating EFT files, and generating SafePay files. So let's talk about that for just a minute. So you go to one screen, you choose the check batches that you want to print, you go to the same screen and click on requesting approvals. You go to the same screen to print. You go to the same screen to do EFT or minutes processing. We've actually kind of streamlined the EFT processing with our product. So currently you go in, you process checks, then you print the checks, then you build the checks, then you print the checks, then you post the checks. Okay, but in the EFT process, we've streamlined that so that when you go in, you check off the EFT batches that you want to print. When you go ahead and you process them, it will process them, it will send them, it will post them, and will send all the information all at one time. So you don't have to do multiple steps for EFTs, only with checks. If you have SafePay files, you can use our product to do that. A lot of you out there have your own process that you generate your SafePay files. This won't interfere with your process. It's just something that we have there separately just in case you wanted to use the functionality within our product. One of the questions that we get, or several of the questions that we get about this new product is, oh my goodness, how is this going to happen? Is it going to mess up what I've got in GP? Is it going to, can I still edit my check batches? Can I still go through the McCormick medical approval system? The answer is yes. We respect all the business rules for selecting, printing, and posting within GP. So this basically, if you want to think about it in a hierarchy, is GP runs, our software sits on top of that, and we just use what GP does. We do not interfere with the processes. Okay, we'll talk about initial setup real quick. The initial setup could take, 10 minutes. It could take longer depending on how many databases that you might want to set up, how many criteria you want to set up, and basically assigning the criteria to each of the checkbooks. This takes a little bit of time on the front end, only on the front end. Once this is set up, then you don't have to go back and do this again. You can always go back and edit your criteria, change things up, absolutely, but once you've done it, you're finished. Okay, and we've made this very simple. So when you go into the first initial setup screen, you're going to choose the databases you want to use for the new product. So you're going to open the first screen up, and it's going to show you all the databases you currently have active in GP. And then you just basically click the box of the databases you want to apply the product to. So a lot of people have told me, hey, I've got 20 databases out there, but I only use 10 of them. So you're just going to go in and click the databases that you want to use. Simple and easy. That's the first step. Takes all of probably 30 seconds to do it. The next step would be creating your batch criteria. All right, what is batch criteria? So batch criteria is what you want selected in each batch. So let's just give you some examples. Most people go in, that we're finding, most people go in at whatever day of the week that they process their checks, and they do all. So every invoice in there, they want in one batch for that checkbook. That's very simple, very easy to set up. Takes just under a minute to do that. It's very quick and easy. However, we also allow you the ability to go in and set up separate criteria batches. So let's say that I want a batch just for rent. Maybe I've got a lot of offices. I want to keep it all together in one batch. I will create a criteria called rent, and it will create batches in each database just for rent. You can do it for any, you can have as many criteria as you want. You can combine them. You can select different ways to do things. Maybe you're in a business where you want to take, you want to be able to make sure you don't miss any of your discount days. This is very important. A lot of people want to make sure they get those checks out back to those vendors quickly so that they take advantage of discounts. We could set a criteria up called discount date so that you could go in and set the number of days you want to go ahead and process those invoices and make sure they get out to those vendors within a certain given time so you don't miss your discount dates. You could do one for employee benefits. You could do one for expense checks. You can do it for just about anything that you want to do. So it's unlimited criteria there. That takes a little bit of work, but we will help you at McCormick. The initial setup can be done by the McCormick staff, or we can train you to do it yourself. It's very simple. You do not need to be an accountant or an IT professional to be able to set this product up. It is very simple and very easy. The next step is, once I've got my criteria ready, we will go in and apply the criteria to the batch, the criteria to the checkbook. Once you apply the criteria to the checkbook, you're ready to go. Okay. So let's go ahead and just show you a little bit of a demo and what the screen looks like. Okay, hopefully everybody's seeing a screen, a GP screen, just a normal screen. What I'm going to go up and do is I'm just going to click on, there's many ways to get to this, but I've actually got a tab up there set up for me already, which is easy to do for you also. This is the actual MultiBatch Management Action Board. This is where you're going to do everything across companies, across checkbooks, right here on one screen. You don't have, you can be in any company you want to be in to do this. You can be in company 1, company 2, company 10, company 20. It doesn't matter. Just as long as you're inside of a company, it will run and check all companies and check all check batches. You'll notice right now highlighted is an action board. I'm going to click on it, and it lists me what I can do in the MultiBatch Management System. First thing up here on top is build payment batches. If I have it on build payment batches and I go up and I say process, it will go ahead and run all the criteria against all of my companies and see if there's any data that could be pulled in to meet the criteria and create a batch in each checkbook. Very important, each checkbook. So if you've got multiple checkbooks in each company, it will create a batch in each company for the specific type of criteria that you have. Again, if I had all, it would create one batch in each checkbook and pull every invoice that meets that criteria. Very simple. Once I've built my batches, I would then go down to process my checks and EFTs. Process is actually going to be a screen, and I'll click on it. What you're seeing now are all of the batches that were created by the criteria that I ran. It tells you the status description over here, which basically is just information, batch information. The next column is the companies that it found criteria in. The next step is the checkbook ID. It tells me the checkbooks that the criteria was found in, and then under payment it shows me whether they're check batches or EFT batches. And of course, then when I go ahead and process, it'll have the creation date and the post date. All I have to do now is go over to the left part of the screen where the check boxes are and check the ones that I want to go ahead and print. Okay? I do not have to check them all. If I don't check them, they just sit there until such time as I'm ready to print those batches. So why would we do that? Well, very simple. Maybe I want to run all of the EFT batches first. I don't want to run my check batches and EFTs at one time. You can, but some people like to separate those. So if you do, we basically go over into this right column and just click on all of the EFT batches. And then I can go to process here to begin printing my checks. You'll notice over on the far right hand side it has transaction number and batch total. So it tells me in the first one here, the first EFT batch I have selected has 6 transactions that total 24,783.12. So I know in my head, if I knew that there were that many, that was the number of transactions that should have been pulled and the dollar amount, then I've got an automatic audit of what's in there and I know that it's correct. Now, once I've selected them, like I said, I go to process, and once I process them, checks will begin to print. Once that's done, I could simply go to post. When I was ready, I could do it right then or I could do it later, and then it would show me a description of all the batches ready to be posted. Again, I could say post them all or post part of them. It's up to you when you do that. Very simple, very easy. So I've actually gone to one screen to build my batches, print my batches, and to post my batches. Now, some people like to print edit lists. Sometimes a controller or a CFO or maybe even a CEO wants to see those batches before they're actually printed. So you can actually pull that up, open that up, and print those edit lists to pass on to those people to double check the batches. Some companies don't do that. Some companies make it mandatory that it's done before they go out the door. So that's an option for you. So what we've done here is create a system to automatically do everything off one screen. So I've just made sure that all my batches are printed. I've made sure that all my information out there, everything that's out there to be pulled into a batch has been done. I didn't miss anything. And now I can go and post them. Added benefit to this is, let's say that you have one AP person that handles all of the process. And let's say that AP person goes on vacation, maybe he's on medical leave, maternity leave, and they're the only one that knows how to do this. That's an issue, because that's downtime for the company waiting on that person to get back so that they can run checks. Now you don't have to do that anymore. As long as you know the criteria, anybody can go in. The controller, the CFO, anybody can go in and build the batches, print the checks, and post them all on one screen, and they don't have to know what to do. They can go to one screen and do it themselves. That's huge. That's a huge thing for companies not to be burdened by the fact that an AP person is out. We've also seen a lot of companies that have multiple AP people, and they're all doing different things, and the one AP person doesn't know what the second AP person does. They don't know the batches that they build or when it's time to do it, so that becomes complicated as far as trying to get that information out timely. You don't have that issue any longer. Okay. There may be some questions about the product. If there are, please feel free to contact Angel or myself in regards to any questions, maybe setting up a deeper demo, maybe setting up training on the product. We'll be more than happy to help you. And that's all I have on the product. Angel, anything else?
Nope, that's it. Thank you all for joining us today. And again, like Mike said, if you do have any questions, feel free to contact us, and we'd be happy to answer anything. Thanks again, and have a great day.